Hello, it's Davey Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas where I run the jazz guitar program. Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist, got the word, got it way back. Look, Perrier Street up in front, that was my first one. Got a few more, Hope of Home, Benign Strangers, live at National Sawdust. Been cranking out the Sunnyside Records since 2012, y'all. I've got 2 Mel Bay books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, Into the Labyrinth. I got word yesterday that the cover is getting prepared for the new book, so we're in the final stages to get the new book about jazz phrasing out into the world. And let's see, it's summer here, it's June, 10th, 11th, something like that. 12th, wow, how time flies. I got the summer stash in full effect, and just got through with some camps, got more camps coming, it's jazz camp season. Y'all trying to get the new crop of musicians excited about the music. But I actually want to talk to you about something else today. And this came as a special request from my former student, Wes Case, who's a great guitarist, just graduated with his master's degree from UNT. He was in the famous 1 O'Clock Lab Band this past year, and he wanted me to do a video on Naima, John Coltrane's, one of his most beautiful compositions, I think. In my humble opinion. And it's a great tune, man. It's on the Giant Steps record from, I was just doing some old Wikipedia research. I didn't realize this record actually came out early 1960. I had in my head that it was 1959, which was such a important year in jazz, right? You got Kind of Blue. I thought Giant Steps. Some great piano, like Everybody Digs Bill Evans is 59. I think Wes Montgomery's first record is 59. Dynamic New Sound. There's so much great music coming out in 59. And I realized today too, I was always under the impression that it was Tommy Flanagan on piano on Naima, but apparently track 6 on the Giant Steps record is a kind of a totally different band. There's Paul Chambers and Coltrane, but it's Wynton Kelly and Jimmy Cobb, I believe. Remember back in the day when we had, liner notes. I remember reading the Giant Steps liner notes, but maybe I didn't pay as much attention to how the personnel shifts, because there's a few different bands. I know Cedar Walton is on some of the alternate tracks, but so that's kind of interesting. So yeah, Naima, y'all, it's really interesting for a lot of reasons. Beautiful melody, but also this thing with the pedals. So it's a ballad. It's pretty slow, about 60 beats per minute, maybe a little below that. So you have this harmonically like an E flat sus chord to start it out. The whole A section is over E flat, an E flat pedal. So it's kind of like an E flat sus, dominant 7 sus, to E flat minor, and then perhaps kind of an A major 7 but without the 5th over E flat, so maybe it's a B7. And then kind of a G major 7 without the 5th over E flat, so it's kind of like an E flat 7, sharp 5, sharp 9 to an A flat major over E flat. And I was looking at different charts of this tune. There's a pretty good one in the new real book. It's nice because it gives you the bass line that I'm going to talk about in a second. But also somehow I don't know where I found this, but this little strip of paper that claims to be the original music that Coltrane gave to the piano player. And it's interesting, I'm going to assume that this is correct. I don't know. I don't remember the provenance, as John Murphy, rest in peace, would have wondered about, like, where did you get this? Is this legit or not? It looks legit. It's a really old yellow piece of paper. And so what it says on that sheet is that he has the A section written 4 bars with a repeat, and he says D flat major 7, or a D flat with a triangle, to G flat major 7, G flat with the triangle. Then A major 7, A with the triangle for 2 beats, G major 7 with the triangle, A flat major 7. So a series of 5 major 7 sounds, or major triads perhaps. And then at the bottom it says E pedal, E flat pedal. So but the thing is, on the original recording, at least, like I said, on those, I mean, it's pretty. There's not much confusion about what the first 2 chords are. Most people would say E flat sus to E flat minor, and then these chords, it's like, well, is it A major 7 over E flat? But is there really an E natural in there, like the fifth of A major 7, or is it more like A, C sharp, F sharp? And I don't know the exact voicing that Wynton Kelly's playing, but I looked up something on YouTube that someone said they had transcribed it, and it looked like it was more this kind of voicing, like G sharp, A, C sharp, like no fifth. An A major 7 sound with no fifth, and then like a G major 7 sound with no fifth, and then an A flat major 7. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll talk about the sort of chord scale, I'm going to go there, y'all, implications of this and the sort of modal mixture, perhaps, that's going on, since it all has an E flat pedal. Maybe like proto, kind of before Herbie and Wayne were messing with a modal mixture and other composers as well. So you have that. Oh yeah, it's a 4-bar A section. Well, I never, it's funny, I never think about the bars before I do these videos. I guess I should. Yeah, so the A section is 4 bars. So you have 4, 4, and then the bridge is over a B flat pedal. So A section all over an E flat pedal, bridge all over a B flat pedal, and you have like a B major 7 over B flat. So it's kind of like a Phrygian sound, B flat Phrygian, to like a B flat 13 flat 9 sound, sort of diminished. Kind of half whole diminished vibe. Then that's repeated. B major 7 over B flat, so B flat Phrygian, B flat 13 flat 9, and then this kind of, I guess you could call it, depending on how you want to spell it or name it, it's like a B flat 7 altered, so sharp 5, sharp 9, or maybe E. Let's see, in the Coltrane, the sheet that claims to be the Coltrane's handwriting, he's just got like specific notes written out for that. So he's got like those notes. So yeah, it's like B flat augmented, and then the sharp 9 on top. He doesn't have an A flat written in there, but you can kind of assume that it's going to be dominant. Then back to the Phrygian sound. Then like a B flat sus, like an A flat major 7 over B flat. And then the last chord's really interesting. It's kind of like an E major 7 over B flat. And I almost said Tommy Flanagan, Wynton Kelly. I just hear basically like those two notes, which are hard to do on guitar. So it's like E flat and E natural, or E flat and F flat. And then I think he also might play a B flat on top. So it's kind of like some sound that you can't get with the B flat and the bass on guitar. So it's kind of interesting. It's maybe like a E major 7, sharp 11 Lydian sound, but it's over B flat. So whatever you call that, I don't know the name of that mode right now. Is that Locrian? But it doesn't really sound like Locrian. To me, I just associate that as being like an E major 7, sharp 11 with the flat 5 in the bass. But I guess if you wanted to give it a mode name, it would be, and name it from the bass note, it would have to be like a B flat Locrian. So yeah, that's interesting. I forgot the bridge is 8 bars and the A sections are 4 bars. So it's like 4, 4, 8, 4. Wow. I don't know why I don't ever think about that. So 20 bars. Interesting. So how do you play on this? So on the original recording, you just have Wynton Kelly plays a chorus. And it's very sort of impressionistic. It reminds me of Bill Evans a little bit. That's probably why I should have known it wasn't Tommy Flanagan, because he has kind of a different approach. But maybe because Wynton Kelly was Evans' like replacement in Miles's band, he had some of that still going on. Just that sort of like, I don't know, impressionistic vibe. He doesn't really play many single note lines. He just plays. Although I noticed that like on his solo, when it gets to the pedal still happens, but when he does the that second part of the bridge where you have, of the A section where you have a what do you call it, A major 7 over E flat and then G major 7 over E flat, he does go, the first time he gets to that, or maybe in the second A, he plays really like an A major triad with the fifth, and then a G major triad triad, and then an A flat major triad. So that's maybe some evidence that that little scrap of paper, I'm looking at a PDF of it, is legit. But yeah, it's beautiful. And then Trane comes in with the bridge, and he doesn't solo on this. And they have an outro. They tag the last bit, and at the very end they do 1/4 in A flat. Really beautiful. I think they do that in Central Park West too, don't they? I'm trying to remember, but yeah, it's a beautiful tune, man. It's just got a vibe, and it's one of those recordings. I hesitate to talk about any other versions of it. I'm sure some other people have done it, but I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the vibe that you get on like Blue and Green, where, I don't know, kind of time is suspended a little bit. You enter this weird kind of like spaced out realm, and part of what contributes to that, I think, is something that I find really interesting. And I don't know if this was written, like that scrap of paper doesn't have this written on it, but the bass line, so Paul Chambers, he goes, so the tempo's pretty slow, so against that chord, he goes like 1, 3, 4, 1. So the second measure, it's like triplet, triplet, triple. And Jimmy Cobb plays that with him. And in that second measure, he just goes, I think he's, what do you call it, like brushes on a ride cymbal or whatever. It's like, da, 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 da. So there's a really sort of long, there's 2/3 of a triplet and then a whole other beat, whatever you want to call that, of just kind of silence, because the saxophone is gone. And it sort of feels like time is suspended, and it gives it this real sort of syncopated, maybe polyrhythmic, but I don't know if that's the right term for it, but just the time feel gets really strange. So you got that. I can't do it all, but like, the last chord of each A section, he does go to A flat, so it's not totally over an E flat pedal, and he goes A flat. Sorry, it's kind of hard to play all that. And then on the bridge, it's more regular. Just kind of keeping a more regular pattern of like quarter note, bum, 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 similar pattern. But yeah, I love how that bass line gives it that real suspended, weird, like where are we kind of feel. So I also listened to, I found a live Trane version from 1965. There's a video on YouTube, and it just says, Naima John Coltrane 1965, and it's a video. I think it's that same, I've seen this concert before where they're like, I don't know if they're outside or something, but there's like steam coming off of them. And it's such a crazy vibe, because Elvin is just like sweating, but there's actual steam coming off him. So maybe it was cold outside. I don't know if they're playing outside or what, but it's, McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, the classic quartet. And it's interesting to hear McCoy play more, lines on this. And then Trane comes in with the real, it's 1965, so there's a lot of saxophonic stuff and few stuff on it. But I was thinking about that too, because I was going to talk about what I play when I play a couple choruses on it in a minute, and how McCoy does not play the exact sort of chord scale ideas that I'm about to talk about, but he kind of plays some of them. He plays McCoy-isms as well, and I think that it doesn't necessarily negate what I'm about to say, but maybe there are other approaches. and maybe the idea of that band is kind of wild in a good way, obviously, right? Very passionate, one of the great groups in the history of jazz. And so they stretch it, right? Everything's stretched and kind of, I don't want to say abstract, but just not so, play this here. But then again, when you're trying to learn the song and get the sound in your head, it'd be good to have some chord scale ideas. So that's my disclaimer about my jazz education background. So I'm going to go into it. So another thing that's interesting about that live version is when they get to the second half of the A section, it's not over an E flat pedal. They just play an A major 7, G major 7, A flat. Jimmy Garrison plays A, G, A flat, which actually changes what the sound would be. So that's part of it too. But so if we go through E flat sus, it's like an E flat dominant chord. So, E flat mixolydian, A flat major scale. Then to an E flat minor, so E flat Dorian, D flat major scale. Like, E flat Dorian. Then this sound, it's like I think of it as like a B7, like. Down in the bass, but yeah, E flat G sharp, yeah, it's over the third. So to me, it's kind of just I don't really put a sharp 11 in it. I know some of the charts will say sharp 11. I think the iReal says B7 sharp 11, but to me it's B mixolydian, and I guess the fact that it's over an E flat. So what mode is that? I confuse myself because I'm thinking of it as a B7. So I guess it's the fifth mode, right? So it's an E major scale over E flat. So I guess it's E flat. E major scale sound, and then the A major 7 over E flat, scratch that, because this is a G major 7 over E flat. If it were just a G major 7 without the E flat in the bass, it could be just like G Lydian, but because there's an E flat in the bass, because there's no E flat in the G Lydian scale, so I'm thinking, at least for the basis of what I do, I'm thinking say the major scales, you got kind of A flat major scale, D flat major scale, E major scale, E melodic minor scale, A flat major scale, or you could make an A flat Lydian. So that's the A section to me, as at least the starting point. B7, third in the bass, and then an E flat dominant 7, flat 13 sharp 9, then to an A flat major 7. Forgive me for my jazz school transgressions, y'all. Anyway, so then the bridge, B flat Phrygian. It's hard for me to sometimes pull the name out of my head because I'm thinking like it's a B major 7 for improvising purposes. I think B major 7 sharp 11 over B flat with a major 7 in the bass, which technically makes it Phrygian. And then B flat half hold diminish. And over that I'll play different kind of patterns and things that I like. There's that one. Coltrane plays that one a lot. And I also like to think, play off the triad. So like this is a lick I play sometimes, like a B flat triad. Sometimes I'll go to like the sharp 9, then down to a G triad. Right, because the half hold diminished, B flat half hold diminished has got a G triad, major triad, G major triad, B flat major triad, D flat major triad, and E major triad. And if you mix those together with their in different inversions, it can sound kind of cool. half whole diminished scale, if you just play it as sort of like a scale linearly, it doesn't really sound right to me. It's kind of got to be a little bit more what do you call it, the contour. You have to kind of jump around a little bit to me to make it sound right. So like I play, sometimes I go, how do I go? I forget what the pattern is. I do something like that. I did that on one of these Sunnyside records. I remember I worked out the lick and I was like, I'm gonna play this lick here, which is cool. I don't think that's cheating. So yeah, it does that twice. B flat Locrian to B flat 13, flat 9 half whole diminished. And then you have that sound. So then it becomes like, again, B flat super Locrian. Please forgive me for using these jazz scale names, but you could play, you don't, like I said, when I say that, I guess what I mean is you don't have to play that 7-note scale, but there's a difference between that sound and that sound that is pretty important to me. It's the difference. I talk about this in Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, the difference between that 13, natural 13 with the flat 9 and the sharp 9 and a flat 13. That to me is a very different sound. So it's B flat 7, flat 13, sharp 9, B melodic minor. Then you go back to the B flat Phrygian. And sometimes I think about that as like a B flat 7 alter resolving to like an E flat minor over B flat. Just so I have kind of a way of resolving it a little bit. And both times too, this could be the B flat 13 flat 9 going back to the B flat. Am I saying the right thing? I hope so. B flat 13 flat 9 to B flat Phrygian. Sometimes I think of the B flat Phrygian as like an E flat minor sound over B flat. That way it can be like a 5-1 and I can do my 5-1 resolution stuff. So that happens twice. Then you got this chord. Back to the B flat Phrygian and then B flat sus, dominant 7. So like a B flat Mixolydian, which is the E flat major scale, right? And then the last chord. I hurt myself. I gotta play later today. Then the E major 7 sharp 11 over B flat. Whatever you call that scale. So yeah, it's actually B flat Locrian, but I think of it as it's an E flat major 7 sharp 11 over B flat. Same thing. Then back to the A section. So the chord scale vibe, just to get you started, so you can noodle around in the right key areas, right? For the bridge, B flat Phrygian, which is G flat major, to B flat 13 flat 9, B flat half whole diminish. Do that again. Played a wrong note there. Then B melodic minor, because it's B flat 7 altered, aka B flat super Locrian. Back to B flat Phrygian, aka G flat major, to B flat 13 sus, aka E flat major, to an E major 7 over E major 7 sharp 11 over B flat, aka the B major scale, or B flat Locrian. I think I said all those right. I hope I did. It's a lot of, my fingers know where to go and know what to play. And then when I try to name the things from the root versus naming the scale versus all the stuff I play on. And that's how I think of that song, y'all. Again, like I said, if you go listen to McCoy Tyner playing all his stuff on there, he's not, he didn't go to jazz school when he was growing up. But I do think there's some value in breaking it down in a way that maybe some of us can approach it who just, they look at the song with all the pedals and all the chord symbols. I think there's some value in at least initially thinking about it in the jazz school chord scale frame. So Wes, thank you for suggesting this tune. I'm glad I got to finally do it, and I'm going to play a couple choruses on it. And I feel like I was channeling McCoy a little bit, you know, because that was the last thing I heard before I recorded. So I'm kind of playing a lot of stuff. And on this, I'm not taking the Wynton Kelly approach. But I hope you enjoy it. Naima, one of the classic jazz recordings, I think, from the Giant Steps record.